All right, welcome you in. My name is Bryce Koon alongside Will Maness. Auburn lands a big recruit, four-star wide receiver Jase Mathews. And let's just kind of start off and talk about this, Will. I mean, we'll talk about what it really means for Auburn, but this was a race that Derek Nix was heavily involved, a guy that recruited Mathews over at Ole Miss, makes the change over to Auburn, continues that relationship. It's also a big deal because Auburn needed some recruiting wins. So, just what's your initial reaction to Auburn getting this and what they needed to do and kind of starting to set, I guess, a positive momentum heading into August and obviously the fall?
Yeah, well, you said it. Auburn needed a big win on the recruiting trail, and this is it. And you know, the big word you said there, relationships. In this new NIL world, everybody just thinks, well, you can just throw money at guys. No, you still have to have those relationships. A lot of money's being thrown around, sure, but it's still a commitment for 17, 18-year-olds deciding where they're going to play football for the next 3 to 4 years. I mean, there's not very many high school kids that are committing to a school thinking that they're going to be in the portal the next year. So it's relationships matter. All that still matters. And, you said it, Auburn needed a big win on the recruiting trail. We're past August 1st. That was the big day for Auburn that they said it all July. Wait till after August 1st. And it took 7 days, but some good news finally for Auburn.
Talking about good news, this was something that, both of us have, I guess, interesting perspectives on this. I cover LSU. You're a guy that obviously pays attention a lot to Auburn. These were the two teams leading into this. I mean, into the week. Obviously, Texas A&M was a part of this. You can never really count out the Aggies with kind of their limitless checkbook they can go with. And then Ole Miss is the hometown team, right? So, I mean, that's a program that Lane Kiffin was trying to continue to stay in that recruitment. But, talking with people, and I was texting you guys this here as we record this on Friday, like up until like 2:30, 3 o'clock Central, Mathews and his mother, who was obviously a big part of this recruitment, had kind of kept this on the down low. There was no agent involvement here. I talked to Jase multiple times, and he continued to kind of, relay the information of the NIL packages were pretty even across the board. And so it takes us kind of into this next topic of conversation here, Will. This is a big deal for Auburn to be able to do it. What does this mean for the Tigers in terms of, I guess, like we mentioned, gaining some momentum, but really landing a big domino in a much-needed position because this is the only receiver commit they have in this class so far?
Yeah, I mean, this getting Jase Mathews could be huge for this 2026 class that, there's been a lot of talk. A lot of people that know and understand recruiting a lot better than me, they've said it all through the summers. Like, if Auburn can get Jase Mathews, we expect Auburn to finish with a top 10 class. And seeing Auburn down in the 80s, 60s, 70s, as low down as they were, thinking top 10, there's no way. But they just got the number 2 wide receiver in the class. And a big get for the receiver position, obviously, the receiver position, very important for Hugh Freeze and his offense. But you look at the depth chart, Auburn doesn't need a ton of receivers. I mean, they've got 5 freshman receivers right now, so it was going to be a small receiver class for Auburn. Definitely going quality over quantity in that room for 2026. And who better to get than the number? There's only one guy better that you could get, according to Rivals, On 3 and Rivals, getting the number 2 guy.
Yeah, and you mentioned, obviously, it's important for Hugh Freeze's offense, right? And he's got a guy in terms of the quarterback that played essentially at the rival high school, Deuce Knight, back there, the true freshman quarterback. We don't know how much playing time he's going to get, but Knight was very involved in this recruitment, having played against and understanding, the player that Jase Mathews is. So, you want a quarterback to be a recruiting tool for you, right? I mean, and you've got a guy that's already on campus that's helped with that. Obviously, Auburn already has their 2026 quarterback locked in, and I'll kind of tease, I think that helped Auburn here because LSU does not have that 2026 quarterback committed. And you know as well as I do, Will, like having guys on a roster, that can take it from, hey, I really like this school, to that feels like home, because you have knowing guys that you're familiar with, maybe you've played against, and for now, and we've talked a lot about this, guys that maybe you played 7-on-7 with, or you kind of grew up around. I think it's huge in terms of what Deuce Knight was able to bring to the table here in making sure that, Jase Mathews, when he made that visit to Auburn, he felt like it was home. His family felt like it was home, and they could see essentially another kid from their area, I guess, and I'll put that loosely, but another kid from their area, they feel good there, so we should feel good there too.
Yeah, well, Deuce Knight's the future. I mean, you talk about Auburn's got a quarterback committed for 2026. As important as Deuce Knight was in Jase Mathews' recruitment and knowing that he is the future of the program, sure Jackson Arnold could come back next year, but Deuce Knight is still viewed as the future. So that was already secured for Jase Mathews, a guy that's just 1 year behind him. That's huge. I mean, this Jase Mathews is the type of guy that you can build the rest of this class around. It's a real small high school class for Auburn right now anyway, because it's been such a slow summer. But this is your crown jewel, and Auburn's going to fill out this class around him, and if Auburn can get him on the recruiting trail too, would be huge. And Auburn, it certainly has the potential to get a top class.
Wanted to ask you about this. Let's take a real quick look. I'll put this up right now. Will, talk to me a little bit about this Auburn wide receiver room. This is what it currently looks like. A ton of sophomores and freshmen, right? I mean, this is a young, loaded class. You really have some potential high floor players in that senior junior realm. So you see Jase Mathews right there. Try to give me your best synopsis. Where do they go for just one more? I mean, how do you build out the rest of this class, especially the wide receiver position? Because you got some dudes in this wide receiver room.
Yeah, there's some dudes. And I'll just kind of go through the whole room. One senior, Horatio Fields, he definitely won't be back next year. Eric Singleton Jr., the junior, is a junior. I don't think anyone's expecting him to come back. I mean, very high expectations for him in 2025, and a lot of NFL talk already before fall camp even started that he's an NFL guy. So, I think Auburn gets Jase Mathews. I think they're looking to add one more receiver, so to keep the numbers the same. But looking at Jase Mathews, I mean, where does he fit in? Listed at 6'2", 180, pretty close in size to Cam Coleman. But the big thing that stands out for Jase Mathews is body control. So he's a guy that you could put on the outside, or you can play him in the slot. He's done a lot of that. He's got really good hands. Already a really good route runner. Obviously has to get more consistent with that, but he's so good after the catch. I mean, you look at Auburn. Auburn has so much talent in the receiver room, especially after the catch. Eric Singleton, we've seen what he's done in college after the catch. Malcolm Simmons is a guy you think about, just get the ball in his hands, he's going to go. Perry Thompson, we saw some numbers come out that Auburn put out just testing the speed of their guys. Perry Thompson is the fastest guy on the football team, or at least in the receiver room. I don't remember if it was the whole team. 21 miles an hour. Just get the ball in his hands. Bryce Kane, another guy that, a lot has been said about him and his athleticism and speed. And then, it's a room full of freak athletes. So obviously Auburn is just rich as at the wide receiver position. That's why we've said all spring and summer long, if Jackson Arnold can just be a point guard, man, I mean, the receiving numbers, the passing numbers for this Auburn offense should just jump off the page in 2025. But, to me, Jase Mathews is a perfect fit for what they've already built in this receiver room. The versatility, the playmaking ability, the ability after the catch with the ball in his hand, just a perfect fit to just step right in and pick up where, one of those guys that is probably expected to move on can just fill right into that role.
The big thing too that I like about it, he's not going to be forced to play early. If he does play early, that means he's really exceeded even the recruiting expectations. But there's no pressure for him to have to come in and produce as a freshman like there was on a Cam Coleman. That's when you start to stack some of these classes, and it makes you feel better.
Those other three freshmen, the Sam Turner, Eric Smith, was Duke Smith, that's first name?
Yeah.
Those guys, you're probably looking at red shirts, and they're really, really good players, but just because of that depth, I wouldn't be surprised if all three are redshirted. We'll probably see more Sam Turner than the other two, but would not be surprised to see at the end of the year that he's only played 4 games and he gets a red shirt.
I guess the last piece of the puzzle here is, what does it mean for LSU? We talked about this. Obviously, Auburn wins a big battle. LSU, well, how are the fans feeling? I'll go ahead and tell you how the fans are feeling a little bit. They're frustrated, but it's probably from a place of maybe, embarrassment of riches. And that's kind of how I've put this. This is a wide receiver class that if they would have added, Jase Mathews, it would have been, you go back and look at the history, one of the better recruiting class hauls in terms of receiver in the modern recruiting rankings. I mean, and per the Rivals, results, you would have had the number 1 and number 2, Tristan Keys out of Hattiesburg. I've been and seen him in person. I'm going to go back this fall and see him. Dynamic athlete, what he can bring to the table. And then obviously they've got the 2, Louisiana in-state kids there as well. So where do they go from here? A lot of the fans clamoring they want to see, and yes, it's on the all-name team, Ethan Booby Feaster out of DeSoto, Texas. He got the kind of the bag, I guess I'll say, and got some, wide receiver 1 money to go out to USC. But the guy that I'm watching here is Calvin Russell, committed to Syracuse out of Miami Northwestern, took an official visit to LSU, has a relationship with Cortez Hankton. LSU wants to add a 4th receiver. Like I said, probably a little bit greedy, but why not? When you're one of the best programs in the country at producing NFL talent at that position, you can afford to be like that. So, we'll see what LSU does, but Auburn does indeed get the really, really big win, and we'll keep you tabs on that too. Will, any final thoughts on the Jase Mathews sweepstakes?
Just, comparing Auburn and LSU at the moment, we're going to see more of this new age of recruiting. Where do teams prioritize? I mean, you said the NIL packages were similar. LSU already has a big class, Auburn with a smaller class, so, kind of viewed differently.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, both programs did not recruit him the same way. You would probably know better than me the more of the details, but for Auburn to come out on top of this, I think they, with it being a smaller class, they zero in on him, maybe made him feel more important, which you still have to do, even if you are throwing money around. But just how teams prioritize, because everybody's going to have different pools of money, different commitments to make money-wise. So Auburn looks like they could have afforded this. And like you said, LSU already had a big class, already committed a lot. Just would have been cherry on top for them.
Yeah, LSU's recruiting class is pretty ridiculous. Defensive line, they've committed a lot of money. They need to. In the receiver position, they're going to do that year in, year out at that position. I said this on the Bengal Tiger podcast over on our On3 site. I said this today. I said, I didn't think the big reason that Mathews would choose Auburn was because he was scared of the competition with Keys, but I do agree with you to an extent. The opportunity to be the headlining piece in a class, kids do care about that. And it's not like it's the program differentials that crazy. I mean, maybe in terms of NFL development recently, okay, yeah, LSU has a better track record, but there's an opportunity, especially if Auburn solidifies this quarterback position and feels like they have it for the next 4 to 5 years. And with the classes they've stacked in there, could be a lot of fun. So Auburn wins a big recruiting battle. Jase Mathews out of Greene County, Mississippi is headed to the Plains. We'll keep you updated on more stuff surrounding Auburn and LSU here in the next couple of weeks and months, all along the recruiting trail. We appreciate you watching. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We'll catch you next time here on The Crowded Booth.